All right, ladies and gentlemen, here we go on a Monday. Welcome in here on a Monday. It is the day before the 4th of July. It's a beautiful summer day. As you can see, the sun is shining. Got the tent up in the yard. So this is what I'd like from you. Let me know in the comments section what your plans are for the 4th. I'd like to read some of the answers on my podcast today. Okay, so the Brewers had a great road trip. They won 7 out of 10, 7-3 on that 10-game road trip. There's yesterday's score, 6-3 winners over the Pirates. Win 2 out of 3 from them. They came so close to the sweep if the bullpen hadn't blown that game on Friday night. But how about the offensive explosion for the Brewers this weekend? First, they score 7 on Friday, 11 on Saturday. 11? Can you believe this Brewer offense scored 11 runs? And then 6 again yesterday. So if the Brewers offense can stay hot, if they can pair this newfound offense along with a bullpen that's been really solid except for that little hiccup on Friday, the Brewers are going to win this division easily. Today on a Monday, the Brewers get set for their 4th of July series against the Chicago Cubs. 1:10 start this afternoon. Julio Teheran on the mound for the Brewers against Drew Smyly, and Teheran has been terrific so far. If it weren't for him and Colin Ray, where would we be right now as a team? Not in first place, I can tell you that much. With a pitching staff that had such high expectations and then has been injured. If it weren't for Ray, who pitched well again yesterday, and Teheran, the Brewers would be in big trouble. Look at his numbers. He hasn't got the most run support. He's 2-3, but that 2.85 ERA, he's been pitching very well. It should be a fun series. Not only is it the 4th of July, and there's no better way to spend the 4th of July than watching baseball, but you got Brewers Cubs, all the Cubs fans coming up north. It's always interesting at AmFam Field when that happens. So hopefully the Brewers get another series win. So I just wanted to take one moment here and take a look at the NL Central standings, where the Brewers are, again, atop of. Them and the Reds tied for first place. I just want to point out how open this division is right now, and frankly kind of how bad it is. I'm glad the Brewers are back in first place. They're doing what they need to do, coming off of a 7-3 10-game road trip. All that's great. They caught up to the Reds. Going into this road trip, they were down a little bit, and the Reds were on the hot streak, but things evening out a little bit now. Obviously, you got the Brewers and the Reds tied for first place, but look how tight it is. Pirates, 5.5 games out. The Cubs, 6 games out. They play a 4-game series against the Brewers here starting today, and if the Cubs were to sweep it, they'd only be 2 games out of it. The Cardinals, nobody is sad to see, 9.5 games out of first place, but things are still open. Hopefully this newfound Brewer offense continues. You pair that with the bullpen, and the Brewers ride off into the sunset with winning the NL Central. This tweet from Adam McKelvey, and if you can go back and read the article, it was good reading, worth reading. McKelvey says, signing a Colin Ray or an Andrew Monasterio to a minor league deal usually doesn't move the needle in the winter, but they can help you win games in the summer, and boy, is that correct. Colin Ray, we're in this road trip where the Brewers went 7-3 on that 10-game series. Ray pitched twice, and both times he went in to the 7th inning. Now, it had been 6 years before he had made recorded an out in the 7th inning or later of a game. He broke that streak earlier in the road trip, and then yesterday he pitched 6 2/3 innings, so he got 2 outs in the 7th, and he is the glue. Him and Julio Teheran, the glue that have been holding this Brewer pitching staff together with all of the injuries and all the issues that they've had. So, man, I mean, as you look at the most valuable players for the Brewers so far in the first half of the season, as we've just passed that halfway point, Colin Ray, Julio Teheran, Christian Yelich, all in that category right now. But what a find Colin Ray has been for the Crew. Now this from WISN, Devin Williams named to 2023 NL All-Star Game roster. Good for him. You know what? Where would the Brewers be right now if it weren't for guys like Devin Williams? I mean, people look at the Brewers and say, well, they don't pass the eye test. They just don't look very good. I don't know how they're winning these games. And to be honest with you, I've said that many times myself. But things are starting to happen, and things are emerging as the season goes on, and we're figuring out why the Brewers are winning some of these games. A large part of the fact that they're in first place right now is a tribute to the Brewers bullpen, and who is the leader of that? Devin Williams. He's made 30 appearances this year. 28 of them have been scoreless. He's got 17 saves. This is his 2nd time as an All-Star. Great job, Devin Williams. Well-deserved. All right, so this from ESPN. Source, Brook Lopez returning to Bucks on 2-year, $48 million deal. So, NBA free agency started on Friday. Now, over the weekend, the Bucks are announcing that they're bringing back Brook Lopez and bringing back Chris Middleton. Now, to me, I don't understand people who would be complaining about that because, number one, people wanted Coach Bud fired because of the early exit in the playoffs last year. People weren't so much pinning that on the players, particularly on Lopez or on Middleton. So, we got what we wanted. Bud got fired. There's a new coach. You bring back the same players. You remember last year the Bucks were dominating in the regular season, and that was with Middleton being out for long periods of time. They weren't that far off from winning a championship. Again, most people think, okay, how far off were the Bucks from winning a championship? Do they lack talent? No. What's standing in the Bucks' way? The coach. Bud. He's gone. So bring the players back, and you try it again with a different coach. And I think you're going to have better results. So I'm thrilled with bringing them back and trying it again. And let's face it, the Bucks weren't going to get any better players than Lopez or Middleton for those positions. So this from golf.com. Bernhard Langer dominates U.S. Senior Open in record-setting performance. So this, of course, at Century World in Stevens Point, right here in Wisconsin in our own backyard. There was a couple of Wisconsin guys, Steve Stricker and Jerry Kelly, who were in second and third, and they were competing for this thing, but Langer ends up winning it. He's actually the oldest to win the U.S. Senior Open ever at 65 years old. But I'm glad everything worked out so well here for the state of Wisconsin and Century World in Stevens Point. Seemed like a great weekend for golf. Weather was fantastic. Some of that great Wisconsin summer weather on display. And then, the smoke had lifted starting on Thursday, Friday, somewhere along that time. So it really turned out to be a great weekend for the U.S. Senior Open. Tons of people around the Stevens Point area. All was well. Too bad one of the Wisconsin guys couldn't win it, but what a great weekend. What a great tournament. Okay, we've got a comment here from Prince. Says, imagine if we had the Dodgers payroll, we'd actually be worth watching after the first 120 games. Now, that is in reference to the Milwaukee Brewers. So let me start off by saying this. Major League Baseball is inherently unfair in the way that it operates and the way that teams are allowed to spend money with essentially no repercussions. A team like the Dodgers or the Yankees can outspend the Brewers as much as they want to. That's not how a league should work. And I'm not complaining and saying, oh, life is unfair. No, this is a league. It should be fair. Now, to this point, having the payroll doesn't guarantee you anything. I hold out hope that something for the Brewers could happen like with what happened with the Nationals last year. They get in on that final wild card spot, and they get hot, they make a run. That's the way a team like the Brewers has to do it. But payroll doesn't always equal winning. Look at Tampa Bay Rays, one of the smallest payrolls in baseball. It's not fair, it's not the way it should be, but it can still be done. As usual, you can follow along on Twitter at Wisconsin_fam. That's at Wisconsin_FAM. Look us up on YouTube, youtube.com/WisconsinFamily1. And look for Wisconsin_family on TikTok. Have a good day.